Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Firefighters podcast, where we seek to develop, inspire and motivate the world of the emergency services operator through a series of wide-ranging conversations. Now before we go any further, just hit that rate, follow or subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to. It's a key performance indicator for us and helps us reach even more people. Now here's what we've got for you today. On the 2nd of February 2005, firefighters Jeff Wornham and Michael Miller gave their lives in the line of duty at Harrow Court, Silam Road, Stevenage. Jeff and Michael were killed by a fire phenomena after they opened the door to the flat 85 to rescue the occupants, but they didn't have any water at the time of the entry, and they found themselves in that classic firefighter's moral dilemma. Today's incident debrief comes from Hertfordshire Fire and Rescue Service, who on the 2nd of February 2005 received the first of several calls to the fire on the 15th floor of Harrow Court, Silam Road, Stevenage. Harrow Court is an 18-storey residential tower block. It's situated in Silam Road, Stevenage, which is close to the town centre. It's one of the 5 high-rise tower blocks within Stevenage, all of which are owned by Stevenage Borough Council. Today's episode was brought to you by our good friends at Wood Watches. We put so much thought into the people that we partner with on the podcast, and Wood Watches has been with us since the beginning. This is a company that's got authenticity baked into every aspect of its fire service traditions. Now they have 6 different collections now. In October, they brought out their new Fearless collection. Some refer to this as the dark side, and it's their first field range watch. Now, I've been speaking to some people in the past who have got that Wood watch for a specific occasion for something really smart, really classy. But the best thing about the Fearless collection is that it's built to be worn in active surroundings. It's got that compact, rugged aesthetic on your wrist. One of the biggest things people have commented on, if you go over and look at their socials, is the Firefighter helmet case back. They always do something special with the back of all of these. Now, before this, my favourite was the Triumph collection, but if you go over and have a look at this one, they've pressed into the back of each watch the UK Firefighter's helmet. It's got the glass visor where you can glance through and actually see the movement of each watch. Now, again, if you're unfamiliar with it, the massive core of all these Wood watches is the upcycling of firefighting materials. And the Fearless collection has got a 100-year-old British Bash Firefighter helmet melted down and placed inside the crown of the watch. That's exactly the same as they have with all of their collections. But this one also features repurposed black fire hose, which is a really rare one for these. So go over and check out the brand. I myself went for the Valiant watch. I've had this for a couple of years now. Really nice. I've got it in the red strap, but I am also giving some serious consideration to the new Fearless collection. There's a whole range of payment options. Go over and take a look at them. Wood Watches, Johnny and the team are there to give you that experience. Whether you're thinking of a retirement gift, you got something special to celebrate, or you have just started your emergency services career, go over and check them out, WoodWatches.com. The best way to support the podcast is to support our sponsors, so please take a click in the notes below. Now back to the show. Firstly, as part of the debrief, we're going to go through a step-by-step timeline of the events. On the 2nd of February 2005 at 2:58 a.m, the first call was received from Mr. Brown, who lives at number 95 on the 16th floor, who woke to smell smoke, which he believes is coming from a lower flat. After making the 999 call and stating he believes the fire to be in flat 89 on the 15th floor, he leaves his flat to check the location of the fire. On his way down the rear stairs to the 15th floor, Mr. Brown meets Miss Clough and Miss Holt, leaving flat 91 on this floor. They had become aware of the smell of smoke, heard voices, and Miss Clough claims she saw flames issuing from the back bedroom window of the flat below theirs. Mr. Brown checks flat 89 and sees a drunken man lying on the floor outside the flat. Mr. Brown looks through the letterbox and, realising it wasn't this flat on fire, they all descend the rear stairs, and on the 14th floor, they realise the flat on fire is number 85. At 3:02, Stevenage Fire Engines call signs 230 and 231 book mobile to the incident with crews of 5 and 4. At 3:03, automatic fire alarm call from Harrow Court received at Fire Service Control from the Fire Alarm Call Centre, and 231 and 230 arrive at the entrance of Harrow Court incident. The crews observe smoke issuing from the upper floor. Firefighter Dudley sees dirty, dark, grey smoke pumping out of the window. At this same time, Mr. Savage states he sees the fire brigade from his 14th floor lounge window on a police statement given later that day. Miss Clough and Miss Holt have continued to descend the rear stairs to the ground floor, and they now meet Mr. Brown, who has already arrived at the lobby. At 3:03, temporary leading firefighter Atribus enters the building and is met at the entrance door by Mr. Brown and Miss Clough, who both inform her of the correction of address as flat number 85 on the 14th floor, and that there are 2 persons inside. CCTV shows that temporary leading firefighter Atribus appearing to speak to leading firefighter Scotchford, who is just outside the entrance door. Leading firefighter Scotchford then enters the building and goes to the lift lobby, where Mr. Brown waits by the lift. At 3:04, the first crew from 231, consisting of temporary leading firefighter Atribus, firefighter Wornham and firefighter Miller, enter the right-hand lift with 1 line of hose, 1 branch, 1 Halligan tool, and go to the 14th floor. Leading firefighter Scotchford shouts up to the first crew to hang on and not go up. and states he radios to temporary leading firefighter Attribus saying, "You're on your way now. When you get there, tell me what's happening." Firefighter Dudley has stated that he is unhappy with their departure. Shortly after, the second crew of Firefighter Dudley, Firefighter Dredge, and Firefighter Broswell collect equipment from the appliance and place it in the lift lobby ready to go aloft. At 3:04 and 14 seconds, Firefighter Wornham and Firefighter Miller don breathing apparatus in the lift, assisted by temporary leading firefighter Attribus. Firefighter Wornham wears his fire hood but does not have his helmet with him. Temporary leading firefighter Attribus states that she provides her helmet to Firefighter Wornham. At this time, CCTV later showed that Firefighter Dudley is seen pointing to the right-hand lift. He is talking to Mr. Brown, who states Firefighter Dudley said they are supposed to wait here, and he appeared to be annoyed. Now on the 14th floor, the first crew exit the lift. Firefighter Miller and Firefighter Wornham rigged in breathing apparatus and one line of hose, one branch and one Halligan tool. They walk along the corridor towards flat 85. Temporary leading firefighter Attribus has stated that she sees a man appearing to come out of one of the middle flats to her left. She tells him to get out. It's not known who the man is. At 3:05, temporary leading firefighter Attribus, firefighters Wornham and Miller arrive at flat 85 on the 14th floor and saw a small layer of dark grey wispy smoke coming from the top of the door, which temporary leading firefighter Attribus recognised as associated with a fire starved of oxygen. She could not hear any activity from inside flat 85 at this time. However, to verify the information given by Mr. Brown, they all run up the rear stairs to the 15th floor to check flat 89 before returning to the same stairs to the 14th floor. The second crew of Firefighter Dudley and Firefighter Dredge and BA, and Firefighter Boswell, who is the breathing apparatus entry control officer, are sent to join the first crew on the 14th floor. Firefighter Reynolds is instructed to charge the dry riser. In order to do so and cut the external padlock, he took the bolt croppers from Firefighter Boswell, who was in the lobby. Shown afterwards on CCTV, at 3:05, leading firefighter Scotchford exits and enters the building 4 times, appearing to use his handheld radio. And at approximately 3:05, Mr. Wright, from flat 85, states he is standing outside his flat in the lobby, kicking the door of flat 85. He then sees firefighters Wornham and Miller in the rear stairwell to his left, running up the stairs to floor 15. He believes they have come up the stairs from floor 13. He then sees temporary leading firefighter Attribus following, and he knocks on the glass of the fire door to the stairwell and calls to tell her that they have gone up to the wrong floor. The fire is in the flat opposite him, number 85. He states that temporary leading firefighter Attribus used her radio to call firefighters Wornham and Miller down from the stairs. Temporary leading firefighter Attribus stands next to Mr. Wright in the doorway to the stairwell, and the 2 firefighters go past her towards the front door of flat 85. Whilst he is walking down the corridor, he states he hears a bang and assumes one of the firefighters is attempting to break into the flat. He does not witness this or look back, and he does not recall seeing any hoses. Shown later on CCTV at 3:05, the second crew of Firefighter Dudley and Firefighter Dredge and Firefighter Boswell are instructed to enter the left-hand lift with 1 BA board, 2 lengths of 45mm hose, 1 branch, 1 Halligan tool, 1 line bag, Mars equipment, thermal imaging camera and a first aid kit. At approximately the same time, temporary leading firefighter Attribus leaves Firefighter Wornham and Firefighter Miller at number 85, instructing them to prepare for entry, while she went to the riser outlet with the hose to sort out water. When arriving at the riser outlet, she discovers it is chained and padlocked, but decides to lay the hose out whilst waiting for the second crew to arrive at the bolt croppers. At 3:05 on the ground floor, Firefighter Reynolds charges the riser. At the same time, firefighters Dudley and Dredge start up their BA sets in the lift whilst travelling to the 15th floor. They pass their tallies to Firefighter Boswell, who inserts them into the initial deployment slots of the BA board he is carrying. At 3:06, Mr. Stabbage states he heard a bang on the door of the flat, number 85, and someone shouted to him to open up. Mr. Savage says he shouted that he could not get to the door. The flat door then burst open and a firefighter entered the flat and then went into the lounge. Firefighters Wornham and Miller have made entry to flat 85 sometime between 3:05 when they first arrive at the flat and 3:06 when temporary leading firefighter Attribus returns to the lobby outside the flat from the riser. Temporary leading firefighter Attribus ran out the hose back along the corridor from the riser towards flat 85. She is seen by Miss Deborah Quinlan of flat 82, who has stated she looked out of her front door on hearing the fire alarm and was hit by the smoke. She saw a fire lady headed towards number 85 holding a hosepipe. These were also on the floor. She could also hear a male screaming. Miss Quinlan immediately closed the door to stop the smoke coming in, puts on her shoes and leaves. Locking her flat, she turns right and descends by the front stairs. She does not pass or see anyone else. On reaching the lobby just outside flat 85, temporary leading firefighter Attribus finds this is smoke logged. Firefighters Wornham and Miller are not there and the door to the flat is open. She leaves the branch outside the flat. temporary leading firefighter Antrobus is unsure how she gets back to the riser outlet, either by crawling beneath the smoke layer in a clear space of approximately 1 foot all the way back to the corridor, or by exiting the lobby just outside flat 85 into the rear stairwell and going down to floor 13, back along the corridor and up a flight of stairs to the riser on the 14th floor. At the same time, large smoke plumes are seen externally on CCTV. At 3:07, the second crew of Firefighter Dudley and Firefighter Dredge exit the lift on the 15th floor, leaving one length of hose in the lift. During unloading of the lift, there is a deliberation over what floor the fire is actually on. Firefighter Boswell radios to try and find out. Firefighter Dudley notices the floor number, and Firefighter Boswell looks down the stairs to see smoke on the 14th floor. He calls Firefighters Dudley and Dredge to go down to the 14th floor. At 3:07, a major fire development occurred inside the flat of number 85. Temporary leading firefighter Antrobus sent a message to leading firefighter Scotchford on a handheld radio declaring, "It's a job," which spurred leading firefighter Scotchford to send a make pumps 4 message. At approximately 3:08, the second crew arrived down at the 14th floor dry riser after leaving the 15th floor. They meet temporary leading firefighter Antrobus at the riser on the 14th and firefighter Boswell sees her struggling with the chain on the riser. Firefighter Boswell assists using a halogen bar as a lever with no success. Temporary leading firefighter Antrobus advises Firefighter Dudley and Firefighter Dredge that they are in there. Temporary leading firefighter Antrobus radioed leading firefighter Scotchford for the bolt croppers. Leading firefighter Scotchford appears to receive the radio message and reacts immediately to get the bolt croppers. At 3:08, the district officer Drakes books in attendance. At the same time, on 231, firefighter Reynolds sent the make pumps 4 radio message to fire control on instruction of the leading firefighter Scotchford. Back on the 14th floor, firefighter Dudley moves along towards the flat 85, following the uncharged hose line. He passes Mr. Savage as he emerges from the corridor into the lift lobby. Temporary leading firefighter Antrobus then pulls Mr. Savage through the last lobby door into the staircase. Firefighter Dredge then follows Firefighter Dudley along the corridor. At the same time, observed on CCTV, leading firefighter Scotchford appears to collect the bolt croppers from just outside the main entrance door and returns back into the building with Firefighter Reynolds. At this time, burning debris is seen falling on the east face of the building beneath the kitchen and lounge windows. As this time passes, shown on CCTV later on, the right-hand lift is now smoke-logged heavily with grey smoke. Leading firefighter Scotchford then goes up the left-hand lift with the bolt croppers and a bag of keys. He is accompanied by Mr. Brown. Just before 3:09, a 999 call is received from a member of the public who states the whole place has gone up and they could see flames coming out of the bedroom window and debris falling. At approximately 3:09, temporary leading firefighter Antrobus states that she first declares a BA emergency on her handheld radio, possibly just prior to leading firefighter Scotchford arriving from the lift. She says she went to call BA emergency several more times, but no evidence can be found that this message was received or acknowledged at this time. Leading firefighter Scotchford, having arrived at the 14th floor, sees temporary leading firefighter Antrobus and firefighter Boswell trying to lever off the chain of the riser with a halogen bar. Leading firefighter Scotchford tells him to get out of the way and cuts the chain. Finally, the jet is charged from the 14th floor at the radio request of Firefighter Dudley. Firefighter Dudley and Firefighter Dredge advance the jet and pulse the fire in or near flat 85. Hey folks, just wanted to jump in with a quick piece around firefighter health and wellbeing. Now, we get a lot of messages and emails into the podcast around firefighter health and fitness, whether you are trying to join the fire service and pass them tricky fitness tests, if you are currently serving, or if you are coming up to that next chapter of your life, retiring from the emergency services. We get so many different questions around it. So in partnership with Fitness for the Frontline, we have come up with a series of guidance and programs specifically designed to reflect the physical elements of the role of a firefighter. So whether it's carrying an LPP across an overgrown field, lifting a ladder above your head under running it, or wrestling with cutting gear for 30 plus minutes at some kind of complicated RTC, our bodies are required to lift, push, and carry objects in very specific circumstances. That is effectively what Fitness on the Frontline focuses on, as well as the longer term aspects of overall health and wellness for our firefighters. There are focuses around strength endurance, and overall conditioning, all achievable and relevant to our roles. Now, we are definitely not about to be smashing out world records or getting that beach body ready in 6 weeks rubbish. The systems and programs that we put in place are adjusted for people's current fitness levels, and they're not a prescriptive weight or a one-size-fits-all BS. We also take into consideration all the fitness testing for initial application and also for current firefighters who want to maintain and progress their fitness levels. It is very likely for myself personally that I'm still going to be a firefighter when I'm 60 plus, so longevity in the role is really important to me, and I know it is for so many people out there. The system has a built-in ability to adjust easily depending on the equipment you have available, your fatigue levels, or if you're coming off busy-ass night shifts and you haven't got a lot of time to work out. You can record your results, log your weights, your body measurements. We've got all the facilities to do that. The system is yours to use how you want to train. We've taken all the fluff and the gimmicks and the BS away from most of the rubbish that you see out there. It all starts with no obligation, 7 days worth of the programming, absolutely free. So whether you're joining, serving, or looking at the next chapter in your life, have a glance in the link for the podcast. Fitness for the Frontline is designed by firefighters for firefighters. Now back to the show. At 3:11, an informative message from leading firefighter Scotchford was sent by a 231 to control, stating that confirming persons reported and ambulance is required. This is believed to have been sent by him whilst he was still in the lift. Firefighter Boswell returned to the landing between the 14th and 15th floors to the BA board and entered the time of whistle for firefighters Dudley and Dredge. He used the initial deployment clock, which gave him a precise time for whistle. Leading firefighter Scotchford, having left the building, briefed the DO outside the building and states he told him that it was a flat fire, believed on the 15th floor, 2 BA teams and jet established, and the riser is charged. Back at the fire itself, firefighter Dredge and firefighter Dudley are forced to drop the jet and withdraw from the fire due to firefighter Dudley losing his helmet. The jet was later found in the lobby outside flat number 85, and firefighter Dudley's helmet was found in the central corridor just outside the lobby. Firefighters Dredge and Dudley then returned to the 14th floor dry riser, where temporary leading firefighter Antrobus is waiting. Firefighter Wornham finally leaves the flat and becomes entangled in cables, which have fallen from the lobby wall outside and above the front door of flat 85. Firefighter Dredge runs down the front staircase from the 14th to the 13th floor, followed by firefighter Dudley. Temporary leading firefighter Antrobus remains at the riser outlet on the 14th floor until driven out by smoke in the staircase. Temporary leading firefighter Antrobus then runs down from the 14th floor staircase along the 13th floor to descend the rear stairs. At 3:14, firefighter Dudley and firefighter Dredge reach the 14th floor via the 13th floor corridor, where they discover firefighter Wornham lying on the floor in the lobby just outside flat 85. At the same time, temporary leading firefighter Antrobus runs around the back of the flats towards the appliance and meets leading firefighter Scotchford outside the main entrance, and they re-enter the building together. The DO then meets temporary leading firefighter Antrobus in the lift lobby, having now taken control of the incident. Back on the 14th floor, firefighter Dudley and firefighter Dredge make several attempts to rescue firefighter Wornham without success because he was entangled in cabling. They were beaten back by fire and heat as they had no water at this time and had to withdraw from the 14th floor rear staircase. They then run back along the 13th floor corridor and up towards the 14th floor dry riser outlet to establish a new water supply. Firefighters Dudley and Dredge arrive at the 14th floor riser outlet but decide they could not disconnect that hose as it provided a lifeline to firefighter Miller and firefighter Wornham. Firefighters Dudley and Dredge return back to the 13th floor dry riser outlet and meet leading firefighter Scotchford. Firefighter Dudley then returns back up to the 14th floor to get the bolt croppers. On return, leading firefighter Scotchford takes them from firefighter Dudley and cuts the chain on the riser outlet now on the 13th floor. Shown on CCTV after the incident, at 3:19, the hydrant is now charged. Firefighter Dredge ran one length of hose along the 13th floor corridor and inserted the branch. As he ran the hose out along the 13th floor, his radio started to work and he thought he heard a radio transmission. He believes it may have been a muffled DSU, distress signal unit, which sounded for approximately 20 to 30 seconds, to which he responded by shouting but received no reply. Having spent time caring for Mr. Savage, firefighter Boswell now decides to take him out of the building. In doing so, he leaves the BA board with the tallies of firefighter Dudley and Dredge on the half landing between the 15th and the 14th floor. Now at approximately 3:20, D.O. Drakes made a mobile phone call to fire control, which was recorded as make pumps 8, make officers 4. An informative message at the same time was confirmed fire on the 14th floor block of the flats. Possible persons reported, 4 BA, 1 jet in use, and tactical mode Oscar. The hose, run out from the 13th floor of riser, is not long enough to reach up the rear staircase and into the 14th floor lobby. Firefighter Dudley states that it came short of the top landing on the 14th floor. Firefighters Dudley and Dredge kept opening the fire door, spraying the water and pulling at firefighter Wornham in an effort to rescue him. Firefighter Dudley's air supply warning whistle sounds and he is forced to withdraw. He meets leading firefighter Scotchford on the 13th floor and takes him back to the 13th floor rear staircase to show him firefighter Wornham lying in the doorway of the lobby above. Firefighter Dredge states that at some point leading firefighter Scotchford joins him on the rear stairs and instructed him to withdraw. Leading firefighter Scotchford states he did not recognise the casualty as a firefighter at this time. Seen on CCTV at 3:21, temporary leading firefighter Antrobus, Sub-Officer Bloxham and 4 BA wearers talk at the entrance at the bottom of the stairs. Temporary leading firefighter Antrobus advises both Sub-Officer Bloxham and the leading firefighter Laycock that they had lost a crew and need BA and hose. At 3:22, Sub-Officer Bloxham and 4 BA wearers, firefighters House, Cropley, Bootle and Waddingham, entered the left-hand lift with one length of hose and one hand lamp to go to the 13th floor. At 3:23, D.O. Drake sent a radio message to fire control. All persons not yet accounted for. Lost contact with one BA team. Leading firefighter Scotchford can be heard over the D.O. Drake's radio during this call asking temporary leading firefighter Antrobus for more BA up here, and she advises that they're on their way. Shortly after, Sub-Officer Bloxham and his crew meet leading firefighter Scotchford on the 13th floor. Leading firefighter Scotchford informs them that there are 2 firefighters missing. Sub-Officer Bloxham assigns the BA crews to the 14th floor rear stairs. At 3:23, firefighters Waddingham and Bootle meet firefighter Dudley on the rear stairs of the 13th floor, who advises them there is a casualty still in there. Leading firefighter Broom and firefighter McGringer use the front staircase to go up to the 13th floor with a large axe and a line. Firefighter Bootle and Waddingham approach the door of the lobby on the 14th floor from the rear stairs. They discover a casualty, firefighter Wornham, lying in the lobby with one foot out through the doorway. No DSU is sounding, and they note that the original hose line on the 14th floor riser has burst. The crews describe extreme heat, smoke, and flame in the lobby of the staircase area. The hose line laid out of the staircase is not long enough to advance into the 14th floor lobby from the rear staircase, so firefighter Bootle places himself between firefighter Wornham and the heat and flames in an effort to shield him from the heat. Firefighter Cropley and firefighter House join firefighters Bootle and Waddingham, and the 4 of them manage to drag firefighter Wornham from the lobby onto the staircase landing. He is entangled in armoured cables, which will only allow them to move him just through the door. They describe that the wires are all over him and melted onto his BA set and shoulders. At 3:25, the group of 4 firefighters release firefighter Wornham from the cables using personal knives and a large axe, then pass him down the 14th rear staircase to Sub-Officer Bloxham. The jet on the rear staircase, which is supplied from the 13th floor riser outlet, is extended by one length, enabling the BA crews to enter the flat as a team of 4. Firefighter Waddingham describes the whole flat as alight with flames like a jet engine issuing from the door as he and firefighter Bootle advance the jet into the flat to knock back the fire. Firefighter House and firefighter Cropley search behind them as the fire is brought under control. At approximately 3:30, firefighter House and firefighter Cropley discover a firefighter together with a female occupant on the first room on the left in the flat and made the decision to leave the casualties in situ as it was clear they are both deceased. At 3:35, D.O. Bordoni and Sub-Officer Cheshire go up the stairs to take over forward control. When reaching the 13th floor, they witness paramedics working on firefighter Wornham. At 3:40, firefighters Bootle and Waddingham are forced to withdraw due to firefighters Bootle's low pressure warning whistle starting. Firefighters Cropley and firefighter House also withdraw at the same time. Finally, at 3:45, a further message is sent to fire control. 1 firefighter injured, tactical mode Oscar. At the same time, 2 firefighters come down the stairs and join firefighter Dudley and Dredge in the lift area. The left lift arrives and firefighter Wornham is brought out of the lift on a stretcher. At 3:50, a further informative was sent by D.O. Drakes. Details as previous. 1 firefighter found, believed code 1, and left in the flat. Make pumps 10, officers 6. At 4:01, a further informative was sent from 189. As previous, 2 civilians code 1 and left in situ. 6 BA, 2 jets in use. Tactical mode Oscar. Finally, at 4:59, a further informative message was sent from ACO Hazeldine. 1 firefighter believed code 1. 2 civilians believed also code 1. All casualties left in situ. 1 firefighter taken to hospital. 14th floor has been searched. Fire is all out. Damping down in progress. 40 minutes later at 5:35, firefighter Miller was removed from the building. The final stop message went at 7:08 that morning. 3 persons code 1. 7 persons code 2. 70 persons code 4. This ends the timeline for this incident. As part of the fire investigation to determine the cause of this, it was found that on Tuesday the 1st of February 2005 at approximately 2100, the electricity supply ran out in flat 85. Mr. Savage and Miss Close, the occupants, did not have any meter cards or credit left. Therefore, Mr. Savage approached a neighbour who gave him some tea light candles. Mr. Savage and Miss Close had a number of alcoholic drinks with a friend in their flat until around 2300, when the friend left and they went to bed. 2 tea lights were lit with a cigarette lighter by Mr. Savage and placed directly on a portable television that was on a dining chair, adjacent to a freestanding wardrobe in their bedroom. The couple went to sleep at approximately 23:40 hours without extinguishing the tea lights. The next morning at 2:58 on the 2nd of February, one of the occupants of flat 91 directly above flat 85 reports seeing flames issuing from the main bedroom window of flat 85. The fire investigation team investigated the following feasible sources of ignition and came to the following conclusions. It was most probable that the tea light was the cause of the fire with double wicking. Other possibilities include deliberate ignition, careless disposal of matches, or carelessly discarded smoking materials. All electrical, gas, heating and natural occurrences were eliminated. They therefore concluded that the most likely ignition source was the tea light candle, which was lit and placed directly on the surface of a plastic case portable television. One of the tea light candles appears to have burnt abnormally. This condition, although rare, can be attributed to the introduction of a foreign body acting as a second wick. When a second wick is involved, the heat from both wicks can melt and subsequently ignite all of the wax within the tea light casing. The heat from full wax involvement would be transferred to the aluminium tea light casing, conducting temperatures in the region of 250 degrees. This would be sufficient to start decomposition of the plastic casing of the television set. A small note for the public is that the use of candles and tea lights has increased in the last decade. However, as discussed in the main part of the fire investigation report, the dangers of using tea lights inappropriately appears to be virtually unknown by the public and the media. Most candles now carry warnings associated with their use. These are generally on a label attached to the candle itself, so that the user has a sight of appropriate safety measures. Tea light candles are frequently sold in bags, although the bags containing the tea lights often display irrelevant safety warnings and the tea lights individually do not. If the tea lights are therefore separated from the original packaging, safety warnings are not evident. There was a health and safety investigation conducted by the Fire Brigades Union into the tragic fatalities of firefighters Wornham and firefighter Miller, and this investigation identified areas of organisational weakness that the union believed significantly contributed to the risks faced by firefighter Wornham and Miller, the risks that ultimately took their lives. There has been and shall continue to be much debate and speculation to the exact specific nature of the fire phenomena that occurred at Harrow Court incident. Experts shall continue to muse over the distinguishing features of a flashover, a backdraft, a smoke explosion, a blowtorch effect, wind-assisted rapid development and other extreme fire phenomena. As with all scientific theories, they all remain valid until such time as they may be disproved, and so it is difficult to establish in this case which type of fire phenomena caused the deaths. However, there's one important area of agreement in the case of Harrow Court incident between the various scientific theories. It was the opening of the front door of flat 85 that gave rise to the rapid manifestation of whichever fire phenomena did then occur. Given this common area of agreement, it can be concluded that had firefighter Wornham and firefighter Miller not opened the front door at the exact time that they did, then the firefighter phenomenon is unlikely to have occurred at the time that it did, and the two firefighters would not have been exposed to its fatal effects. This being the case, the Fire Brigade Union believe that establishing the cause of their deaths has less to do with the precise definition of the fire phenomenon that occurred and more to do with those factors that led to firefighter Wornham and firefighter Miller opening the front door when they did and without the necessary water, resources or personnel they required. Distressing as it is, particularly for the friends and family involved, attention should be drawn to the evidence that firefighter Miller appears to have been killed instantly inside the bedroom of flat 85, whilst firefighter Wornham was found on the floor of the lobby immediately outside the flat, entangled in electrical cabling that had fallen as a result of the plastic cable trunking having melted. Moreover, specific attention should be drawn to the evidence that firefighter Wornham was found entangled in the electrical cabling, with melted plastic fire alarm cable insulation adhered to the inside palm of his glove, rather than being found on the electrical cabling simply lying on top of him. The union believe this evidence indicates that, unlike firefighter Miller, firefighter Wornham somehow was able to make his own way out of flat 85, or was already outside the flat before coming entangled in the electrical cabling that had fallen in the lobby. In either circumstances, the FBU concludes that it was outside flat 85, trapped amongst the cabling, that firefighter Wornham lost his life. The FBU's report made 73 recommendations, which, had they been identified and fully acted upon prior to the incident, the FBU believes would have significantly reduced the risks faced by the two firefighters and may have effectively saved their lives. The FBU did put together a very comprehensive report which is divided into specific sections and subsections, but for the sake of timing, these areas of organisational weakness can be summarised into three main categories: standard operating procedures, training, and emergency response resource. As part of their training aspect, the FBU suggests that it was apparent that the firefighters and supervisory managers in the initial attendance at Harrow Court had received insufficient crew command training, dynamic risk assessment training, breathing apparatus refresher training, and separately dedicated practical and theoretical compartment fire behaviour training to deal safely and effectively with the situation they were confronted with. In addition, they believe it's clear that the basic awareness of high-rise incident procedures was not sufficiently underpinned with practical high-rise incident training at either the Training and Development Centre or the fire stations themselves. The firefighters were also unfamiliar with the premises and the likely risks they would encounter in an emergency, as they no longer carried out these types of inspections on these types of premises. This is something that is being noted as a point of concern across the UK Fire and Rescue Service, as the breadth and scope of a firefighting role continues to become ever more complex, It is the belief of the podcast that it is imperative that we carry out these risk inspections to give firefighters familiarity with some of the more complex and challenging buildings they may be called upon to protect. The review of the service's integrated risk management plan was such that the initial attendance of emergency response resources for high-rise incidents ensures a minimum of 13 firefighters arrive in sufficient time for each other to enable all of the service's safe system of work to be implemented in full and at the outset without endangering firefighters due to delay in their arrival. It is essential to avoid situations which could motivate or pressure firefighters to act unsafely in the interests of saving life. At high-rise incidents, the recognised means of achieving this is through establishing a bridgehead as a platform from which to launch rescue and firefighting operations in accordance with appropriate standard operating procedures for breathing apparatus, compartment firefighting and incident command. As part of the union's report, they believed that the service failed to ensure their standard operating procedures were fit for purpose. They feel that they failed to ensure the application of the SOPs were systematically and practically trained for, and also that they failed to ensure sufficient personnel were mobilised for deployment on the initial PDA predetermined attendance to allow the immediate, safe and effective implementation of all applicable standard operating procedures. It's important to state that as part of the union's summary, they applaud the courage shown by all firefighting crews that attended Harrow Court incident on the small hours of the 5th of February 2005. In particular, the selfless and courageous acts of firefighter Wornham and firefighter Miller were considered immense given the circumstances they found themselves in. Some of the more difficult questions that are posed from this incident are that would the fatalities of firefighter Wornham and Miller have been prevented had the service ensured adequate procedures, training and resources were systematically in place? Would the life-threatening risks faced by the firefighters at Harrow Court incident have been significantly reduced had the service ensured adequate procedures, training and resources were systematically in place? The detailed timeline, reportings and case studies used for this debrief are done so in the hope that other firefighters facing similar circumstances in the future will benefit from the lessons learned and lives sadly lost that day. Thanks for coming back to the podcast. We'll see you next time.
Firefighters Podcast is a global podcast seeking to develop, inspire and motivate the world of the emergency services operators. Through a series of wide-ranging conversations celebrating those within our sector, we seek to encourage and support this incredible group of people. It's brought to you by myself, operational firefighter Pete Wakefield, and I speak with individuals from all walks of life who I sincerely believe can add value to or develop those who have chosen this life path. Please support your emergency services wherever you are in the world, and thank you for listening.